Hi, Andrew Bell here with you today, coming from what is definitely a real estate iconic property here on the Gold Coast, and I am referring to 79 to 81 Commodore Drive, Paradise Waters. This property is unique in so many ways. Built over a massive 1,767 square metres of land, it is the only north-facing double block of land on Main River at Paradise Waters. We have heard about position, and it is the cornerstone of what distinguishes the very best of real estate from all the rest. These are the platinum properties of the real estate world and always achieve the strongest capital growth. This home was originally built by the legendary real estate identity Max Christmas, who was Mr. Real Estate of the Gold Coast in the 1970s and 1980s. Now, Max could have built a home anywhere he wished, but he chose this site knowing it was the very best location on the Gold Coast. He then set about building an iconic home. Not a dollar was spared in building this spectacular home, which was designed by Sahil Abedian, who was another Gold Coast legendary real estate identity, who went on then to build, of course, Palazzo Versace and Q1, just to name a few of his landmark developments here on the Gold Coast. I'll let you have a good look through the home as I summarise this fortnight's report. I'm highlighting today the most recent report by Shane Oliver from AMP Capital, who, without a doubt, has been one of the enduring real estate researchers for 20 plus years. I have enormous respect for his accuracy throughout that period of time. In this report, Shane does talk about Australian real estate, which is incredibly expensive by any measure. Now, that comes as no surprise to most of us. He claims that the reason for this is a combination of shift from high to low interest rates over the past 20 to 30 years, which boosted borrowings and the buying power. And then the big one was the inadequate supply of property. I have a graph on screen right now to show the accumulated shortage of properties, over 100,000 dwellings, relative to underlying demand. This is partly what I touched on in my last report, where I talked about the need for cashed up overseas developers to help fund the development of additional housing supply, a real major issue here in Australia. Now, Shane goes on to say that a surge in prices and debt has led many people here in Australia to conclude a property crash is imminent. He highlighted that this has been drummed up many times over the past 10 to 15 years and suggests that a crash is unlikely because, first, there is not generalised oversupply of property. Second, despite talk of mortgage stress, the reality is that debt interest payments relative to income is around the 2004 levels. And third, Australia has not seen anything like the deterioration in lending standards that other countries have seen, and certainly prior to the GFC. Shane also goes on to say that to see a fall of some 20% in prices, you'd probably need to see one or more of the following. The first being a recession, which would lead to much higher unemployment. That certainly looks unlikely. Or alternatively, a surge in interest rates, and that's also unlikely, and an oversupply of property. And we've addressed that in this report and in previous reports, saying that there is not an oversupply in most parts of Australia. Perhaps some pockets that might be the only areas there's some risk there. I'd like to touch on another quick but separate point. You know, Australia's always been described as the lucky country. Now, we can't just simply rely on that as we move forward. But it was great this week to see a report in the Australian Financial Review. With the strengthening of commodity prices in recent months, Australia's federal budget position could be the beneficiary of about $20 billion in revenues that we weren't counting on earlier this year. It puts us in a nice position, puts a good dent in the budget deficit, and will certainly help with debt reduction. Well, I hope you've enjoyed having a good look through 79 to 81 Commodore Drive. It truly is a Gold Coast icon. You can't really appreciate a home such as this until you have a good physical inspection. So if you're looking to secure one of the best Gold Coast properties and reap all of the benefits of living here in this magnificent location, then contact our Ray White Prestige marketing agent, Jackson Paradise, whose details are on screen at present. Jackson will be more than happy to provide you with all the information you may need, answer any questions you have, or arrange for an inspection. Well, that's it for this fortnight. Thanks for your time. And as a special treat, I want to show you something. I'm sure by now you've heard about the legendary event, one of the great real estate events on the national calendar every year. Have a good look at this, and if you're interested, please let us know. That's it for this fortnight. See you in 2 weeks' time.